Hi guys, I'm finally back. I just need like a little week, and plus you guys know that I was just posting back to back to back for like those 2 3 days. So I'm like, I'm gonna take a little break. But I'm finally back. I'm here with a video, and this is a much needed video that I've been needing to put out for a while now. But it's been 3 months, and I'm just like, just might as well just put it out now. But we are going to basically go through all of the books that I read in those last 3 months. Given I could wait to the end of March, but I'm like, why do that? Please don't mind people next door. I'm in a dorm room. There's noises, and I need to get this video out and done. But let's talk about all the books that I read. I wrote it on my notes app, so let me go to my notes app. I put my ratings, and I'm going to tell you guys each book in order of how I read them this year. My goal this year, I made a video about it, and I also want to change this angle because it's making me kind of mad because I don't like this thing. But we're going to change it so you can see me in better lighting. But we're going to go over all the books that I read this year alone. I could go back to like last year, but that's like over 20 books. And given it's still not a lot to other people, but to me, I read a lot more than usual. We're gonna go over that, and we're also gonna go over these books, and I'm gonna give a brief how I rated them, and then how I feel about them, and basically that. But yeah, we have about 11 books that we're gonna go over, and I hope you guys have a good time. See, this looks better, but the background, my room is a mess. But the angle wise, it looks really good. But I'm excited. Let's get into it. Also, this is just juice and ginger ale mixed together. So, yeah, and I'm also eating Cheez-Its and they're almost gone. So, hey. I'm gonna meet my friend also. I didn't tell her that I was back. So, let's hope I can get this video out and then tell her that I'm back on campus and then we can go to dinner. So then, let's get into this video. So, the first book that I read this year was The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I'm trying to read many books, but this is the first one. I'll try. I didn't even attempt to. But this was the first book that I read this year. I read it when I was doing my hair. Not this hair, but a different hairstyle. I read it, I believe, the 3rd of January. It's specific because I remember thinking I need to do my hair, like I need to be better and be active and within myself. So I did my hair, and I remember reading the book while doing my hair. Yeah. I rated the book a 3 out of 5 stars now, but before I rated the book a 4 out of 5, and I will give you the reason why I did then and why I changed my rating now. So the reason why I rated the book a 4 out of 5 is because I really loved Evelyn Hugo. Given I really hated the microaggressions within the book, but I really loved the Evelyn Hugo, and I really liked her character, and I really do think that the book itself, like as a whole, is a really good book. But the reason why I changed my things because of the microaggressions, and someone else allowed me to see how the fact that the author continued to whitewash Evelyn, like you only see her like want to actually embrace her I think she is Cuban side. I think she's Cuban every like once in a while. So like when she was talking to her maid, and she said, oh well, my maid didn't know that I speak this, I think it's Spanish, but I'm not completely sure. But my maid didn't know I speak Spanish, and she was talking shit, so I said something to her in Spanish, and then I kept pushing. I never thought about it again. Something along those lines, and I was like, oh, okay. Like I didn't understand the reason for that, but I mean, the author added it, and I was like, okay, I pushed it along. But thinking back on it, I was like, wow, those microaggressions, like even with the whole always thinking about, oh my god, I'm so mixed with the half white, half black girl in the book who was supposed to be the other main character, is annoying. And I also feel like the book didn't even need to have her. The author just used her as a way to influence the ending of the book. So if you know, you know. But it just was like her character was not needed. It could have been just Evelyn's story. That's why I feel like, and I was talking to a friend of mine, I feel like the view and how the book went could have been way better if it was made by an actual POC and not a white woman. So Sorry. Yeah. Next book that I read was Wrath by Reese Witherspoon. Oh, the first book was also by Taylor Jenkins Reid. But that's a really popular book, so I'm pretty sure you guys know that. But Wrath is by Reese Witherspoon, and I gave this in the beginning a 5 star. But looking back on it and my reflection now, I gave it a 4 out of 5 stars. I do think the book is really good. I think it was very interesting. But the reason why I gave it 4 out of 5 stars is because there are certain moments where I was kind of bored, and then I wasn't bored again, and then I was bored. And I think what really kept me going was their relationship and how cute they were and how he loved her children. It was a good book to read at that moment. But looking back on it, it was just a solid read. That's it. And I really liked how healthy their relationship was. I think that's also what gave me push it to a 5. It's because I really just loved how healthy their relationship was. Like it was just really good. Like it was just a solid read, and I just had fun while reading it. And I don't think that it was more than what it was. It was also second chance romance. No, it is not. It is. I'm so sorry. I don't know what the fuck I'm talking about, but it is a really good book. I really enjoyed it, and I think that I would continue to read books by Reese Witherspoon. I tried to read Jenny right after this, but I'm really not good with reading like books. The reason why I read this book is because I wanted to be Jenny, and then I read Jenny and I couldn't even finish it. But hopefully that I am going to finish that book in the future. But I really gave this book a 4 out of 5 stars, and it was a solid read. Next book I read in the month of January was There Are No Devils by Sophie Lark. So I read the first book last year, right before Christmas or day before Christmas, and I had such a good time reading it. It was like one of those books that's just like you just take your brain out of the book and just read. You would literally have such a good time. And that's what it was. I had such a good time. And then I started the second book and then I could not finish it. So I ended up picking it back up in January. And I had so much fun, yet so much not fun in the second book. I feel like it was just like the second book is really heavily influenced by the characters. In my opinion, I think that it was a solid book for what it was, but I don't think that it was my favorite. I feel like the first book was super interesting. His pining for her, the stalker aspects of it was like really, really good. And then you get to the second book and it's like they're together, the relationship is established, but like their relationship, like in the beginning, was like super slow. I was kind of bored. And then we got to it again, and I was like, "Ooh, this is picking up." And like, I remember how much I love those characters, and then it was just certain aspects where it was like, I don't care anymore because it was more along the lines of instead of like trying to figure. I feel like that's what it was. She continued to prolong the meaning and how Shaw and the situation with him, how that was gonna go down on purpose, just for us to continue to get more. What's the word like? Background on the characters, because this situation with Shaw could have been deaded. Like this situation could have been deaded, no pun intended. And the fact that the author continues to just push it so that we continue to get their background on these characters for no reason. So I don't think it was like everyday shit, but it was also along the lines of I honestly don't really care, but I cared. So I don't know. It was more along the lines of I was just neutral on the book. I just had fun. And that ending though will forever stick with me. That ending will forever stick with me. Because that man, he was pissing me off throughout the book. And I was like, dead that man. No pun intended. Okay, next book that I read it was Dirty Kisses by Kenya Wright. I reread it. If you don't know, my favorite book by Kenya Wright, my favorite series by Kenya Wright is the Mind and Mouse series. It's literally the best series ever that ever came out, and you can't convince me otherwise. It's so good. And I reread the first book because I was reading There Are No Devils, and There Is No Devils, and I was thinking about the book the whole entire last 2 to 3 chapters, and I was like, I gotta reread it. And I literally reread it after that, and I had such a good time rereading the story. It just made me realize and fall in love back with the characters. But I give it 5 out of 5 stars again. But what made me mad is it doesn't make me mad, but like I hate when Kenya Wright adds characters that don't who point of views that we don't need into the book. That pisses me off. It really does. And then I also don't like her over explanation of background. Like it gets boring after a while. Like I do like how she gives us information that a lot of authors would probably not have done, but it does get boring after a while when she continues to do it. Now we're on to February. That was the last book that I read that month. I went into Arrangement of Love. So I read these 4 books the last 4 days of February. A Testament of Love is a part of this trilogy by Kenya Wright. So there's 3 books, and I read 2 out of 3 books because I am not finishing the series. So I gave the first book, which is an Arrangement of Love, a 3.5 out of 5, and that's being generous. It's because I really do like the main character. I think I really like her as a character, but I also do feel like I really do feel like she no the person who I feel like she copy and paste from one book to another is the main guy, but like the it's like she tried to make the Lion and Mouse series that series, but like with a lot of microaggressions by a black woman. By a black woman. I was like, what? So like there's so many like microaggressions that happen in the book. Like the literal main character would be like, oh, so she'll be like, do you only have black maids? And he'll be like, yeah. And then she'll be like, oh, okay. And then we just never bring it up again. Like, do you know how weird that is for him to just have black maids? Like, there's so many microaggressions in this book. And like I just literally I know I find the book funny because the girl was like, we're sisters, and I was just looking like, girl, y'all messing with the same man, y'all sister wives. What you mean? But it's really just it's definitely just not. I would never go back and read that book. Will it stick to me for a while? Yeah, but would I ever go back and read that book? No. Next book I gave is A Test of Love, which is the second book. And that's another book that's similar to There Is No Devil, where that book could have been deaded way long ago. And I feel like there was no need for a third book. It could have been deaded in 1 or 2 books. Not even, because I feel like the whole first book could have been an extra 30 to 40 pages, and we could have dead that shit so quickly. But she gave us a trilogy. And I'm like, you gave us a trilogy for this, but no ordinary love or redemption? Can't get a trilogy? Okay. Okay. I was sad. Okay, I was really sad about that. Um Next book that I read by her is Mine. I gave that one 3 out of 5, but I really want to give it a 2 out of 5. But like I really do no, I really want to give it a 2 out of 5. But like I can't do that to a black woman. Because like the book starts off pretty interesting. You're like, ooh, and then you get to the middle and you're like, what the fuck is happening? Like, first of all, the book takes place in like basically a week, but like a day. I don't know how to explain it. She does this a lot where she'll like basically have several chapters take place in 1 to 2 days, and then we'll be like, okay, well, it's actually we're just gonna fast forward and get to this part, and it's like, don't fast forward that shit. I didn't ask for you for that. Like, I don't like that. Like, I don't like when authors fast forward books because it's like that's not what I asked. I wanted to see the characters, and it's not that hard to do that. Like, you can fast forward a book, be like, well, it's been a week. Like, that's different. But if the book is supposed to take place in that week, where are you fasting forward? It didn't make any sense to me. And that shit was pissing me off. And I also just fucking hated that entire ending. That shit was fucking trash. And I was so mad. And just the whole book just pissing me off. Like, to be honest with you. And I think that really the only thing that had me happy was that I really did kind of enjoy the characters. Not that much, but like I was neutral about them. Like if they were to, you know what, let me not say that. But I was neutral on the characters. Next book I read, as you can see, I read 4 books by Kenya Wright at the end of February. So the next book I read was No Ordinary Love by her, and I gave that one a 4.5 out of 5. I gave 5 out of 5 on a Goodreads, but it's a 4.5 out of 5 for me. I get a 4.5 because I just keep telling you I don't like when she over describes stuff that does not need to be over described. It's just like, okay, and then it just gets boring after a while because you start focusing on this one thing instead of getting back to the characters. But besides that, I really do love the characters, and the scene that will forever stick with me is that play scene. If you know, you know. But the ending in this book is not my favorite. No, I feel like the ending, it was just like she rushed it. It wasn't if that no, that ending could have been no. It feels like she rushed it and was trying to be like it's done, and it's like no, but you left it as an open ending. Like it was like an open for interpretation. Like the main character was like blah 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 blah. And I also do feel like she tried like basically in my opinion, all her characters are the same because it's basically kind of weird. Like there's so many characters and I'm just like you literally are the same as this other character. Like it like did they say authors insert themselves into a book? It's how it felt. So yeah. Let's we're going into March, but I did read Telltale by Daniel Allen. This book, I started it at the end of February, so to the 28th, and I finished it on the 2nd of March or the 1st, I forget. And I did not, but I had a good time. I had a good time. I want to say 80% up into the book until the confrontation. Now the confrontation was just fucking trash. Given wasn't eating that shit up very much so, but I did not have fun after that. Like the characters were just being like the characters like the first 70% of the book. I really did like her. I really love Danielle Allen's pacing in general, and her writing is literally beautiful. It's like her pacing of this book is so good because you're like you get the background of the actual 10 or so 10 to 15, I think it was like about 15 years of seeing them together when they were younger up until when they're older and how they were never able to get together because of this one thing. And then you're like, oh, okay. Then like you follow them, they actually get together, and you're like you're having a good time with these characters. And then this situation happened because literally the whole book just talks about how sigh. Man, fuck Sigh. Man, fuck him. He all he did was just like all we kept doing was talking about Psy and how Psy made this pack and how her and Psy did this and Psy this, Psy that. I do not care. You're grown ass people. Get over Psy, your brother, and dead that shit. Psy was also being a big ass baby. He literally almost kicked him off his wedding all because they got together. And then it also has my least favorite trope when you propose for someone at someone else's wedding. I don't give a fuck if that person told you to get your fucking knees right now, bitch. Don't ever do that shit. Dead that shit. I was like, what the fuck is this? And then after that whole situation, I was just like dead in that whole book, and I just was like, okay. And then we got to the prologue, and I was like, okay. Like, I love a book where you can take so much emotions out of me. Reasons why I would always give this a 4 out of 5, and I really did like much of this book. Like I loved like a good 80% of this book. I don't think you understand. Like I loved this book. I was like literally it was on the the road to be my favorite Daniel Allen book, and I'm not kidding. And then when she spun that shit, and I was just like, what the fuck? What the fuck? So it was just pissing me off. And then it also has that trope where like it's like it's brother's best friend book, but like all we kept talk about is when they were kids and they made this pack, and I'm like, bitch, fuck that pack. I was like, you're how fucking old? Tell Psy to bring his big baby ass outside and come and fight. Dead ass. Cause what they did this shit right here. I was like, what the fuck? No one cares. No one cares. Period. Next book. The Crow Prince. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I had so much fun reading this book. So I started this book in February and I ended it in March. So I started it on audiobook, similar with Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo audiobook. I was having a good time, but like I was more neutral in the beginning. Like it starts off crazy, bro, like crazy, and then you continue on. You're like, oh, okay. But then when I finally was like finishing, I had like 2 hours left in the audio, and I was just like, what the fuck? Not kidding. That shit was like, what the fuck? What the fuck? And what the fuck? Back to back to back. And I was like, oh. And then I bought the box set. Yeah. And the reason why I actually started this book, I didn't know anything going into it, but the reason why I started this book is because I'm in this group chat with a bunch of people who are like K-pop fans and like to read books. And our little group chat name is Cardintel Worshippers. And so I was like, I didn't understand the appeal. I didn't understand what was happening in the book when they made that because I was like so confused. I did not know what The Cruel Prince was about. I remember starting it and I remember like seen the part where they murdered some people in the beginning, but like I never like continued that book until they started talking about it, and they named the group chat that, and I was like, I might as well just read it. And then I read it, and I was like, I can see the appeal. So yeah. And then the last book that I read just recently is Haunting Adeline, and I gave that a 5 out of 5 stars. So you can say that March was a good reading. March was a good reading thing, but starting off with Telltale was not fun. But yes, March was pretty good. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I had such a good time. I just love the book. Like, baby, do it like a shall be day. Like, literally, this is my aesthetic of my phone right now. Like, it's based off the book. Like, and then I made a whole Pinterest thread. I'll try and like add the screen recording of the Pinterest thread. Like, I was just having so much fun with this book, and do it like it shall be day, cause maybe I can't even. Yeah. But Haunting Adeline, basically, it's about this girl getting stalked by this guy that fell in love with her at first sight. Yeah, basically. And it just, like, in my opinion, it was like the spiciness of this book literally is out of this world. Like, you can't even compare this to any other spice because you're just like, what the fuck? But it has the gun trope, and if you know that trope and you love that trope, you're gonna love this book. You're gonna love this book. If you like the gun trope, you're gonna love this book. Given I'm so sad because it didn't have my favorite trope in this book, but I still gave it 5 out of 5 stars. I loved it. Everything about this book was literally amazing. So, but let's just say that I started this year with like books that were just neutral. They were just good. I found my other new favorite King and Wright book, which is No Ordinary Love. So my favorite King and Wright books go from the Lion and Mouse series, Redemption, and then No Ordinary Love. Love that book. I found a good book by Daniel Allen. I've been trying to finish her backlist, and I still got more. I also started Business Casual. I'm about 40% to that book. Will I be finishing that book? I don't know. I'm kind of bored, but I did like it in the beginning though. I'm just bored right now, but it's a pretty good series. I mean, it's a pretty good book. I also am supposed to be starting and finish. Oh, I started it, but I have yet to finish it, and I literally own it. Is her other book. I'll put the picture up here if I remember. But this was fun talking to you guys. I gotta go meet my friend for lunch, for dinner. It is been almost 20 minutes, and I need to finish getting dressed. But I had fun talking with you guys. And I hope that you guys liked my wrap up. I would probably do another one in 3 months. Yeah, that sounds about right. And I'll see you guys in my next wrap up. Make sure to follow me on my Instagram. It'll be linked down below. And then you can follow me on my TikTok. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I had so much fun with you guys. I hope that you guys had fun with me. I'm a little all over the place type of person. So if you notice that, good for you. But I love you guys. And if you made it this far, please comment a heart emoji. I say no. Let's do my favorite heart emoji. Let's do the purple emoji. And I use purple because it reminds me of fantasy colors. But yeah, so if you made this far, I use purple emoji, heart emoji, and I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye.